Are you having problems figuring out how to crop and resize your photos so that they're the right width and height and not a huge file size? Hopefully this little tutorial can help. I think it'll help to look at what pixels actually are. If you zoom in, you can see that they're just squares of color. A screen can only have so many squares of color in a given area. Generally, 72 of them fit in 1 inch. That's where PPI, or pixels per inch, comes from. So screen resolution is 72 PPI. Now let's get down to the practical steps for cropping and resizing in iPhoto. So here's a photo of these cute kids I found on Flickr. And let's say for some reason I want to crop out the smaller girl and I need to end up with a photo that is 300 pixels wide and 400 pixels high. The first thing I want to do is figure out what the dimensions of this photo are, which I can do by clicking on Info. And there it is. It is way too big, and the file size is pretty big too, about 0.5 MB. And I'm not sure if the ratio of width to height is right, so I'm going to crop first to make sure it's right. I go to Edit and then Crop. And constrain here means whether or not, while I'm cropping, I want to constrain the ratio of width to height to any particular number of pixels. And I do. Like I said, it needs to be 300 pixels wide and 400 pixels high. So here are some preset combinations, but not what I need. So I'll choose Custom and put in my width and height. Voila! So that's what a ratio of 3 to 4 looks like on this photo. This doesn't exactly work for me, so I'll move it over and make it a little smaller. And since we checked Constrain before, we don't have to worry about it getting out of proportion or stretched out. And boom! You would think that we're done, but we're not. If you double check the dimensions, they're not 300 and 400, but they are the right ratio. So cropping just made sure that the ratio of width to height is right, but to actually resize the width and height in iPhoto, you actually need to export it. Go to File, Export. I like to make the quality maximum since we already know that the PPI at 300 by 400 pixels is 72. We don't want it less than that or the quality will suffer. Then for size, again, we have preset options, but we want custom. And here, iPhoto just wants the width or height, but not both. If you give it one, it'll constrain the proportions and figure out the other one. So let's just use height and 400 pixels and export it. Let's change the name since it's now just one kid. So now if you open this photo in iPhoto, you can see from its Info tab that it is in fact 300 by 400 pixels and the file size is smaller. Hope that helps, and if you have any more questions, get in touch.